What's up, everyone? Justin here, back with a new video, a new Who's Better video. This time it's between where I debate for both of these wrestlers on who I think was better and had the better careers, their ups, their downs, stuff like that. This episode of Who's Better is between two of the greatest big men of all time, super heavyweights, Bam Bam Bigelow versus Vader. Who's better? I'm going to talk about it. It's been a long time since I've done a Who's Better show. I got many others planned, but I just haven't done them yet. But I'll get to them. It's not like my YouTube channel is going anywhere. In 2024, I could do a lot more Who's Better if I choose to. But let's start off with Bam Bam Bigelow. Holy fuck, what a look he had when he got into wrestling. Tatted his head. Tatted his fucking head. I believe in high school and growing up, before he got into wrestling, he actually had hair. Or short hair, but shaved it off. He wanted to get into wrestling. He's working as, I think, a bouncer at one point and a bounty hunter, but he wanted to get into wrestling. He was a fan. And he did. He definitely made an impact when he got in pro wrestling. So he debuted. Again, he had his head tatted up with flames. You gotta be a tough motherfucker to take that pain and get tatted on your fucking skull. I wouldn't do that. I'm sure it hurt like a motherfucker. But he did it. Because he wanted to look different, I'm sure. And get attention. And look like a badass monster in wrestling. And it definitely helped his career. It helped his look. It definitely helped his look. Like, when you first saw him, you're like, who the fuck is this guy? He's awesome. Look at his head's tatted up with flames. He debuted, I don't know the exact year. Forgot to write it down, but I think he debuted in 84, 85. And Paul Heyman actually booked him in a nightclub, Studio 54, I believe, in New York. Watch The Dark Side of the Ring on Bam Bam Bigelow if you want to know more about his career and life. So, yeah, these are some of the definitely career highlights of Bam Bam Bigelow I'm going to talk about. And then I'll get to Vader. So now let's talk about the good. 1987 in WWF definitely was a highlight year for him. Because he's in the number one company, probably made a ton of money. He was more well known by fans, being a part of WWF in 87 during one of its heydays when they were the most popular. So 87 was a really good year for Bam Bam in the WWF. 1993 was a good year for him. He returned. He was in the King of the Ring final. I thought it was a good year for him. 95 was a good year for Bam Bam. He main evented WrestleMania 11 with Lawrence Taylor. That was awesome. LT had to be carried by Bam Bam, but it was a good main event. It delivered for a former Hall of Fame football player to take on Bam Bam Bigelow. It delivered. It had a ton of hype behind it, and the sports media world was all over it, covering it, talking about it. So he's a WrestleMania 11 main eventer. That was good. Championships he held in Japan. He was great. IWGP Tag Team Champions with Vader, the guy I'm about to talk about. Between this Who's Better, Vader and Bam Bam were actually tag team champions in Japan and partners for a short time. I don't know how long they were together. I think it was less than a year. Maybe a couple months. I'm not sure. or it might have been 91, 92 they were together, because Bam Bam in 1991, he wasn't a part of any company except, I think, in Japan, New Japan. I know 90, he wasn't around much in a major company. He appeared for WCW a little bit on a Clash of Champions 11. Bam Bam appeared against Tommy Rich, and then he appeared at Capital Combat 90 pay-per-view. Then he was like gone. Barely was in WCW 1990. Why didn't they get to keep him or sign him? Probably because he wanted to go back to Japan to make big fucking money. I'm sure he made huge money in Japan. He had to. Look at him. He was an attraction in Japan, for sure. So, that was a good 93, 95, 87, WrestleMania 11 main event. His Japan work and Japan runs were good. He was also in a major movie. He was actually in the movie Major Pain in the 1990s. I want to say that was 94, 95. I don't know if he's in any other movies but Major Pain. Might have been a part of TV shows also. I don't know. But now let's talk about more good. Some of his best before I talk about his best, I'll talk about his best feuds now, and then the championships he held and the accomplishments. His best feuds and matches, in my opinion, were against Bret Hart, Spike Dudley, Taz, Rob Van Dam, Shane Douglas. Those were some of his best matches, in my opinion, and feuds. There are probably other matches that he had that were pretty damn good, but I didn't list them as best feuds and matches. Because I saw all of his WWF work, and his best feud was definitely with Bret Hart in his best matches, and I saw all his ECW stuff. That was damn good. So now the championships he held, major titles in major companies. I'm sure he held a ton of indie titles. Probably, I'm sure. But I'm just talking about the major companies. Japan, WCW, WWF, ECW. He was, sadly, never held a title in WWF. That's hard to believe, but he never did. Not even a tag title. I don't know. Maybe he was. Trying to think if he's a tag champion at one point. When he's in the $1 Million Corporation in 95. Did he win the tag titles? I think with Tatanka or 1, 2, 3 Kid. I don't remember. But I don't know. I felt like he was I think he was a tag champ in WWF. Maybe, but I'm not sure. I should look it up on my other phone, but whatever. You can look it up. If he was a WWF tag champion, I'm not sure. But I felt like he was in 95. When they did that tag tournament in like January 95. So then, after the WWF, he was ECW TV champion, ECW world champion in, I think, October 97. I know it was in Queens, New York, at the Elks Lodge. Bam Bam, powerbomb Shane Douglas, turned on him and defeated him for the world title. It got a huge pop, huge reaction. Bam Bam Bigelow was a world heavyweight champion in ECW in 97. Sadly, he only held it a month and dropped it back to Shane Douglas at November to Remember 97. He also held titles WCW Tag Team Champions when he was a part of the Jersey Triad with DDP and Canyon. Also as a WCW Hardcore Champion. I don't know how many times he held that. Probably a few times. Because WCW tried to have a hardcore division, but I don't know. They didn't have that many hardcore guys, except all the guys they took from ECW and signed. Raven, Sandman, Bam Bam. That was like their whole hardcore division, just about. But he was a hardcore champion, I believe. So now let's get to some of the bad. In 2000, WCW Bam Bam was not great. It was kind of sad to watch him. He still looked like a monster, and he still could have been a monster heel, but he was injured, I believe, most of 2000. He was out. Wrestled a little bit on a few pay-per-views, I think, or like one or two only. I think he's part of Spring Stampede 2000, and he's part of Wrestling on Thunders. I don't even remember if he wrestled on Nitros. But I believe he's out with an injured back most of the year in 2000, or he was away at rehab. I don't really know where he went. But 2000 was the bad of Bam Bam Bigelow. It was not a great year, the year 2000. Now I'm going to get, but still, the good outweighs the bad. Bam Bam in his career, he had a lot more good. He did a lot more good than bad. He was a WrestleMania main eventer, ECW World Champion, held many titles, was a champion in Japan and a big star in Japan. And he had great feuds and really good matches with just about everybody he worked with. He even had good matches with Doink the Clown. Not Matt Bourne Doink, but the second Doink. He had good matches with the guy, I thought. Their feud was kind of too damn cartoonish and goofy, but he still had good matches with him. I believe at Royal Rumble 94, I think, Bam Bam pressed Doink and threw him over the top. That was pretty funny. It looked like he injured Doink. Maybe he didn't like the guy. I don't know. Now let's get to Vader. Big Van Vader. This who's better between Vader and Bam Bam. Where I decide because it's my show, my channel. If you don't agree, leave it in the comments who you thought was better. Vader or Bam Bam. I'm deciding now. So Vader, he did have a lot good. A lot more good than bad, for sure. First off, his look. When he debuted, he looked like a monster. He was in the AWA. And they called him the Baby Bull. The Leon White, they were calling him. By his real name, I believe, in the AWA. He didn't have a mask on. He didn't have the Vader mask either. He had no mask. But he just looked like a monster without a gimmick or anything. But he still looked like a badass in the AWA, I thought. And he looked tough. So, I don't know how long he's in the AWA. Maybe 2 years, 3 years. I don't know. He went to Japan, became a huge star, a big draw in Japan was Vader, as a big Van Vader gimmick that was given to him by Antonio Inoki, I believe, gave it to him. They wanted to give the big Van Vader gimmick, I believe, to the Ultimate Warrior, I think. Or I think I heard that, but they couldn't get him or he turned it down. I don't fucking know. I don't care. I never cared for the Ultimate Warrior. Not even as a kid. I didn't like the guy. And when he defeated Hogan, I actually cried as a kid. Because I hated it that much. But I just thought Warrior was an idiot as a kid. Yeah, he looked like a superhero and he's jacked. And he shook the ropes. He had a ton of energy. And he was super over. I'll admit that. But I thought he was an idiot. His promos were stupid and made no sense. And I didn't like the guy as a kid. Or as an adult. I didn't like him either. But this is about Vader. He became Big Van Vader. He took over that giant, I don't know what to call it, the shoulder pads. That looked badass. Whoever created that was awesome. And the smoke would blow out of it. He would set it down on the entrance and smoke would blow out of it. That was a great entrance. That was fucking awesome. That was awesome to see as a kid. That Vader entrance with the giant shoulder pads. I don't know what you call it. The sculpture, shoulder pads, mask thing you put over your head. That was awesome. So Vader, again, he's a huge star in Japan. I lost my notes. Huge draw in Japan. New Japan Pro Wrestling was a huge draw. I believe in 1990. I think is February of 1990. February 11th, maybe, 1990. A famous, legendary matchup with Stan Hansen in the Tokyo Dome. They beat the fucking shit out of each other. They just beat the crap out of each other. Probably because they wanted to look real, and holy fuck, it did look real, like a real fight. Vader, somehow, I think it's from a punch or a lariat, got his eyeball knocked out of his head. One of his eyeballs was hanging out of his fucking eye. His eyeball was hanging out of his eye. Insane. But he continued the match, and then I guess he got it popped back in and fixed. I forget if it was during the match or after it, but somehow he got his eyeball fixed. That shit could have blinded him for life. That was scary. Legit, his eyeball was hanging out of his eye socket. Insane. That's how tough Vader was. And just Bam Bam, a great big man. Vader, a great big man. Both of them did moonsaults and backflips as their finish. A lot of the time, it was their finish. I don't know who did it first. I really don't. I'm trying to think as a kid on WWF or WCW who I saw do it first. I don't know. I know Vader was doing it by June or July 93. I think Bam Bam started it early 93 maybe. I'm not sure. All I know is they both did moonsaults as super heavyweights, and it was fucking impressive as hell in 93 to see. Maybe they did in Japan way before that. I don't know who did it first. If you know, leave it in the comments. When did they do the backflip first off the top rope? Because I would like to fucking know. Did Vader do it first or did Bam Bam? I don't know, but that was insane to see as a kid. A giant super heavyweight doing a backflip off the top rope. I'm sure they're safe, but if I was their opponent or a job guy, and I had to look up and seeing them do the moonsault on me, I would have been scared to death. Seriously, you could have crushed, broken ribs or something. And sometimes how Bam Bam would do the moonsault, he would go like sideways and kind of miss his opponents. Sometimes I think maybe did on purpose so he wouldn't hurt anybody. And neither of these guys, Vader or Bam Bam, I never heard of them ever hurting other wrestlers. They were professionals. They were great at what they did as super heavyweights. They looked like badasses, like they could have kicked any one else's ass if they wanted to in a real fight. I'm sure they could have. And I know Vader got in a backstage fight with Paul Orndorff, and I believe I've heard Paul Orndorff from many interviews. I've heard shoot interviews that Paul Orndorff knocked down Vader. Or knocked him out. I don't know. I wasn't fucking there. But Paul Orndorff was a tough son of a bitch if he really knocked out Vader or knocked him down. And Vader, for his defense, I will say, I think he was wearing like slippers or sandals or shower shoes. I don't know. He didn't have good shoes on or footing. So maybe that's the reason he got punched and maybe he slipped and he didn't mean to fall. I don't know. That's what I heard. That he had like sandals on or something. So he didn't legit really get knocked down by Paul Orndorff. He slipped. I don't know what happened. But for me, I was a bigger Vader fan than Paul Orndorff. It's hard to believe that Vader lost a fight to Paul Orndorff, even if it's 95 and Vader is getting a bit too overweight. I don't know. But I don't want to believe Vader got beat up and knocked out or knocked down by Paul Orndorff. Maybe he did. Who cares if he did? Even if you're toughest guy in the world, you're not going to win every fight. Maybe Vader is confident that I'll kick his ass if he runs at me with sandals on. Maybe Vader thought he could still fight with sandals. I don't know. Those really cheap sandals that just go through the middle of your big toe that are like fucking rubbery. Those are the cheapest, shittiest fucking sandals ever in the world. I tried to wear them once and I hated them. They fucking dug in my big toe. I hated how they felt. And they just were horrible. Flip-flops. They're called flip-flops. I hate them. And I'll never wear them again. I tried to wear them when I was like 12 and I hated them. How they felt. They hurt, actually. I hated them, and they weren't comfortable. I hate sandals anyway, but those flip-flops are really uncomfortable, and they were the shits. Whoever made them should be locked up. Whoever created flip-flops should be locked up. Horrible, horrible how they felt. But I never thought I'd talk about flip-flops on a Who's Better video between Bam Bam and Vader. So, again, Vader, the guy did such great work in Japan against Stan Hansen. Great as in a tag team with Bam Bam. Their matches against the Steiners were awesome, legendary. Maybe they only worked against Steiners once. I'm not sure, but it was epic, that matchup. How could that be bad? The Steiner brothers in their prime against Vader and Bam Bam in their prime. It was awesome. With a Japanese New Japan Pro Wrestling hard-hitting style. So here's some of the bad of Vader. Some of the bad that happened in his career. Not all of it was his fault. 96 was not great to Vader. His debut was great. Or not his debut. I don't know. I liked his appearance at Survivor Series 96. But he didn't win there. But I don't know. I just liked it. He made Flash Funk look really good. I believe Flash Funk hit a moonsault on Vader at one point. But 96 was not a good year for Vader. Not at all. Looked like he was getting more out of shape, more obese. He had a feud with Yokozuna, which was not good. Not good matches at all. I mean, what would you expect? They were two super heavyweight guys that, sadly, Yokozuna couldn't move anymore in 96. Vader still could move, but he was kind of past his prime a little. And what really hurt Vader in 96 was he lost the title. He did not win the WWF Championship. He lost the title matches against Shawn Michaels. And they only had one at SummerSlam 96. He should have won and defeated HBK, but he lost because Shawn is part of the Clique and champion. Shawn probably bitched and whined because he's a different person in 96 to get his way to keep the title on him and not lose to Vader and put over Vader. I believe the original plan was for Vader to win the title off Shawn Michaels, but Shawn refused to do it. That was stupid, but that hurt Vader. Not defeating Shawn Michaels, really? I was a huge Shawn Michaels mark in 96. He was my favorite wrestler. I was part of the Clique. I loved him as a champion and when he won the title. Shawn Michaels, I loved him in 96. The guy's my favorite wrestler. I saw him live at King of the Ring 96. I cheered like crazy. But looking back on it, he should have put over Vader at SummerSlam. 96, not a good year for Vader. 97, not a good year either, how they booked him. Other than his match with Ken Shamrock and Shamrock's in-ring debut in your house, Cold Day in Hell. Vader Shamrock tore it up. It was great. Looked like a legit fight. It was one of Vader's best WWF matches ever, to me. He had other good matches with other guys I'll talk about. But 97 is not a great year other than his Ken Shamrock match on the May 97 In Your House pay-per-view. 98 was not a good year for Vader. Seemed like he got more out of shape and didn't want to be there, didn't care to be there. Just was riding out his contract, maybe wanted to get released, I don't know. But he barely was booked, seemed like. He had a little feud with Kane and he just got destroyed and Kane got put over. It was like they're using Vader to put over Kane and get over Kane. Well, Kane was already over anyways. He didn't need to be put over even more. But I guess they thought, let's have Vader a monster, lose to Kane, and get destroyed. And then, I don't know who told him to say this, but then they started booking Vader after Over the Edge when he lost, 98. They booked Vader, just put himself down on the mic and he just shit all over himself. He's like, or Michael Cole is like, what are your feelings losing to Kane? And he's like, I'm just a fat piece of shit. And he's like, I feel like a piece of shit. I'm just a fat piece of shit. And then he pushed the microphone out of the way. That was weird. And that was really weird. When I heard that, I was like, what the fuck? Like, why are they booking him like that? And I felt bad for him. But I'm sure it's in a script for him to say that. And he's like, I'm just a fat piece of shit. That's all I am. It was weird. And then, before he got released in 98, I think he got released, or began 99 or 98, he was released, or his contract ran out. JR, I think, wanted Vader to go to rehab to lose weight. I think he refused. I think that's why he's fired, I believe, or released, because he wouldn't listen and didn't want to lose the weight. I don't know. He was miserable, I think, in 98. He didn't want to be there. I hope he made good money, though. In his WWF run, it was really disappointing because Vader never became world champ, and he should have. And he also could have main evented a WrestleMania. But it was disappointing. 3 years kind of wasted down the tubes. 96, 97, 98 were not good to Vader. After that, he went back to Japan, I believe, did some good stuff, had like a shoot fight with Ken Shamrock in Japan. I think it's part of the company UWF in Japan. They're in like a small cage, Vader and Ken. They had a good match. Thing is in UWF, some company in Japan. And then he wrestled, I think, for Noah in Japan. Or 01 or Noah, one of them. But let's talk about some good now about Vader. Good in his career. His Japan work was great and good. His feuds with Sting, Cactus, Jack, Ric Flair. His matches against Bret Hart. His matches against Ken Shamrock. Those are all damn good things about Vader. He could have a good match with anybody when he wanted to, when he's motivated. Again, his best matches, in my opinion, best feud was probably against Sting and Cactus Jack. He beat the fuck out of Mick Foley when he was a dominant world champion in WCW in 93. So both these guys, who's better, Bam Bam or Vader? Both of them have been world champions at least. That's a good thing. I'm happy both of them got to be world champions in different companies they were a part of. Vader, WCW world champion, defeated Ron Simmons, I believe, at a house show in 91, or not 91, and god damn it, is it the end of 91? No, it wasn't. Not the end of 91. Ron Simmons wasn't world champ till 92. So I believe it was December 92. Vader defeated Ron Simmons in Atlanta at the Omni for the world title. I believe at a live event house show. I think. But then... well, I'm trying to think. Maybe I'm totally off. I don't know. Maybe Ron Simmons defeated Vader in December 92. I'm not sure, but somehow Lex Luger was world champion, still lost it to Sting at Super Brawl 2 from my hometown. Sadly, I didn't go to that. I didn't know it was even there at the time. I was only like 7 years old, or 8, when Super Brawl 2 came to my city. I didn't know it was coming, or else I would have definitely asked my mom to take me. But, so yeah, Sting wins the title from Lex Luger. Sting's a champion. Great American Bash 92. Vader destroys him. That was awesome. Vader's the world champ, I believe, for the first time at Great American Bash 92. Then he lost it to Ron Simmons in September 92, I think. And then he won it back from Ron Simmons in December 92, I think, at a house show in Atlanta. So where'd that paper go? I just put it down. Here we go. So that was good. Vader, IWGP Tag Champ. Might have held other titles in Japan. I'm not sure, but he probably did. WCW World Champion 2 or 3 times. WCW United States World Champion for a short time when he won it at where did he win it? Starrcade 94, I think. He defeated Hacksaw Jim Duggan for the U.S. title. So that was a lot of good of Vader. his feuds and matches with Stan Hansen, Sting, Ric Flair, Cactus Jack. He also had good matches with Bret Hart in WWF. I guess he had a good match with Shawn Michaels, but he should have won. So I take that off the list. Some of the bad again. And the real good Vader was a WCW World Champion of a major company in the early 90s, and he was one of the best big men and monsters in wrestling. Legit monster heels that were unstoppable. In the early 90s, it was Vader. In WCW, unstoppable. And it was Yokozuna in WWF. Two monster heel champions. That was pretty cool. At the same time. Or around the same time. At one point. So, yeah, Vader won the title, as I said, from Ron Simmons. Won it back from Ron Simmons. Held on to it for a year, I believe. Had a full year title reign almost. And dropped it at Starrcade 93. Some more bad. Sadly, Vader was never WWF champion. And his WrestleMania matches, he only had 2 of them. 2 WrestleMania matches only, and they were weak. Very weak, lame, lazy booking for Vader. He's in tag matches. At his only WrestleManias, 12 and 13, he was part of fucking tag matches. A 6-man tag at 12, and a tag title match at 13, which was stupid to book him in tag matches. Like, he was just a mid-carder. Come on. His WCW run was a lot better in the early 90s than his WWF run. Actually, his WCW run, in my opinion, made him a Hall of Famer. Let's go to more of the good of Vader. His best years were 1990, 91, 92, 93, 94, I guess. Also, as I said, Ken Shamrock, Flair, Sting, Cactus Jack, British Bulldog were some of his best matches and some of my favorites. So who's better now? I went through a lot of their careers and their accomplishments. Sadly, Vader or Bam Bam never got to win a Rumble or be WWF champ. But they still had really good careers outside of WWF. Who's better? I gotta go with... This is hard. I didn't even think of this before I did this show. Did I even write down who I think's better? I'm going to go with... Yes, I did write it down. I'm going to go with who's better between Bam Bam Bigelow, the Beast from the East, versus Vader, Big Van Vader, the Mastodon, I believe he's called at one point. Just a great heel with his manager Harley Race in WCW. Who's better? Bam Bam Bigelow, I think, was better. They both had great looks. Vader, when he got the better Vader mask and dropped the wrestling mask, they both had great badass fucking looks. They both had the it factor. They both were great Hall of Fame monster super heavyweight talents, both of them. Vader is in the Hall of Fame, but sadly he passed away before he got to speak in it and show up in the WWE Hall of Fame. Bam Bam is not, somehow. Maybe he is in the Hall of Fame, but they put him in the section where he didn't get an induction speech from his family. Bam Bam Bigelow, if he's not, he deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. and not just be mentioned and have his picture shown to be inducted. I wish Bam Bam was still alive. I wish Vader is still here. Two of the best ever big men, but who's better? As I said, Bam Bam Bigelow, I think, was better. A little bit better. Hope you enjoyed this Who's Better between Bam Bam Bigelow and Big Van Vader. It's Vader time. Well, I picked Bam Bam. Sorry, Vader. Rest in peace, Vader. Rest in peace, Bam Bam. You were two of the all-time greats. And two of the best big men, most athletic, agile, quick big men. Awesome big men. Scary big men of all time. Bye for now, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this Who's Better.